Members of Parliament, support staff, radio listeners, TV viewers, those following via social media, and members on the media, of the media. Welcome to this public meeting number 1 for today, Monday, September 22nd, 2025. I would like to give a special welcome to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Ms. Marinka Gums, and her support staff. We have established a quorum of 11 members. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received a notice of absence from the following members: MP Sarah Westcott-Williams, due to business work travel. I have not received any other notices. Does any other member of Parliament have any notifications? I see we have MP La Cruz. MP La Cruz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A blessed morning to you. A blessed afternoon to you and the Griffier, the Minister of Justice, our support staff, my fellow colleagues. Finance. You're hiding behind a computer. Yeah. Those in the Tribune and all listening on social media. Mr. Chairman, what is wrong with me today? I'd like to congratulate a brother on his wedding that took place this last weekend, Khalif Brooks and Natalie Bryson Brooks. They got wed in Curacao, and congratulations from our side here, my family, my friends, everyone. Congratulate you on that. And Mr. Chairman, notice of lateness from MP Otley, but he's here, so that's good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. Do we have any other need for notifications? I do not see that that's the case. We have agenda point for this public meeting, question hour, questions from MP Irion directed to the Minister of Finance regarding the recent appointment process of the chairman of the CBCS, IS 069-2025-2026, dated September 17th, 2025. We go over to the agenda point. The intention of the Vragenuurtje question hour is to create the possibility to interact with ministers after the passing of Hurricane Irma. Article 69 of the Rules of Order was proposed in order to introduce the so-called Vragenuurtje question hour. During the Vragenuurtje question hour, only questions and answers will be given on the topic at hand. The procedure entails questions to be answered during question hour by the minister can be submitted from Monday to Wednesday during the so-called reading week or preparation week. The deadline is Wednesday at 5 p.m. The Member of Parliament submits questions to Parliament in accordance with Article 69 and further of the Rules of Order, which states to exercise their supervisory activities, each Member of Parliament may pose questions to one or more ministers without permission of Parliament. The Member of Parliament needs to specifically request that the question submitted be answered orally in accordance with Article 69C of the Rules of Order. The President of Parliament decides on the sequence of the subjects during the question hour. Article 69D, paragraph 2 of the Rules of Order. Seeing the fact that in theory all 15 members can submit questions for the question hour, a selection needs to be made of which questions of which member will be allowed for a particular question hour. The maximum on speaking times is regulated in Article 69D of the Rules of Order. The proposal was to allow questions from 2 different members to be answered each time. This to avoid exceeding the hour. How will this be determined? These 2 members are chosen based on date and time the questions were submitted to Parliament. What happens if more members submit questions? In that case, the President will ask the members if their questions are still relevant and if answering is still necessary. Invitation. The relevant minister is invited by letter UV along with the questions posed by the Member of Parliament no later than Thursday, 12 p.m. Convocation. A convocation for the question hour public meeting will be sent out by Thursday at 5 p.m. the latest. If the relevant minister agrees to answer the questions verbally, the question hour will take place as scheduled on Monday. The Member of Parliament will get the opportunity to read his/her questions as submitted for a maximum of 2 minutes, according to Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order. The minister is given the opportunity to answer the questions for a maximum of 1 minute per question, according to Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order. The Member of Parliament is then given the opportunity once more to ask additional questions for a maximum of 2 minutes, according to Article 69D, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Order. The minister is given 1 minute to answer each question, according to Article 69D, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Order. The President then may allow other members of Parliament to ask questions for a maximum of 1 minute about the same topic, according to Article 69, paragraph 5 of the Rules of Order. The minister is given 1 minute to answer each question, according to Article 69, paragraph 5 of the Rules of Order. During the question hour, no permission can be asked for interruptions, to hold an interpellation, nor can motions be submitted. Today, Monday, September 22nd, 2025, we have questions that were submitted by MP A.M.R. Irion, registered on the IS 069-2025-2026, dated Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, for the Minister of Finance. These questions were submitted in accordance with Article 69 and further of the Rules of Order. Minister of Finance, Ms. Marinka Gums, was invited by letter UV 004-2025-2026, dated Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Hence, in accordance with Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order, Member of Parliament Adwell M.R. Irion will read his questions on the subject to the Minister and provide an explanation. MP Irion, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Minister and support staff. Good afternoon to the members of Parliament. Mr. Chairman, in light of the recent appointment, suggestion, nomination, because there's a lot of confusion regarding what the process actually is or happened or didn't happen when it comes to the appointment of Mr. Bloom, the Central Bank, I've posed at least 5 questions to the Minister of Finance. Did the Council of Ministers follow the proper legal and procedural requirements in approving the appointment of the chairman? Why have the current board members of Central Bank not received their national decrees? Was the required 5/6 majority within the supervisory board of the Central Bank obtained prior to the nomination being forwarded to the government? Does the nominated individual for the position of chairman have any affiliation or prior connections that may present conflicts of interest or compromise the independence of the Central Bank? What concrete steps is the government of St. Martin taken to guarantee the credibility, independence, and integrity of the Central Bank, particularly in the light of these concerns? Mr. Chairman, we've even seen the recent articles of different media houses where we have a lot of members of Parliament that also have their opinion based on the law, but I think beyond the opinion, it is also just factual statements. I don't think the law leaves a lot of room for interpretation, so I'm very curious to see what the government will say. I'm hoping the answer will not be because the previous government, because that's a typical answer of this current coalition, so I'm really curious to hear the answer now. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Irion. I now give the floor to the Honourable Minister to answer the questions in accordance with Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order. Minister Gums, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members of Parliament, esteemed support staff, members of the media, distinguished guests in the public tribune, radio and social media viewers, residents of our beloved island, ladies and gentlemen, all under the sound of my voice, good afternoon and a blessed day. I am here to provide answers to the questions posed by the honorable members of Parliament as it pertains to the appointment process of the chair of the CBCS Supervisory Board. I will now delve in directly to the questions and provide answers to the questions posed. However, Mr. Chairman, allow, please, especially question 1, to be able to give context of to what exactly transpired prior to my taking office in May. This may go above the allotted time frame. So I'm asking you, with your permission, if you can extend that time frame for question 1. And if not, I would appreciate if I can provide all of the answers, even thereafter, answering in writing for full context.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. In total, seeing that you have five minutes, 6 minutes to answer the total of 5 questions, I can allow maybe if an additional minute can be added to the total amount of minutes that you can answer fully question 1 and then the rest of the questions. Yeah. Thank you, Minister. Yes. Minister, I just spoke to the SG. So basically, you have the 5 to 6 minutes to answer the 5 questions. So if you use a little more time for the first question, and then see to use a little less time to answer the others, that we can try to stay within the time, then we can appreciate it. But let's say if you're ending up or rounding off your final answer, and we still have an additional time, then we can see how we can allow that.
Mr. Chairman, there is another question that I have. The documentation that I received pertaining to the rules of order as it pertains to answering did not state 1 minute. It actually stated 2 minutes per question. I am not sure if that was a misunderstanding.
Okay, there was a discrepancy between the Dutch and the English version, but we're using the English version, what we've used over the time already. So we will try to use those guidelines that we've done before, which is the 1 minute,
Okay.
and we can continue with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
no
thank you.
Yeah.
Minister, you have the floor.
I now move on to the question number 1 posed by MP Irion. The answer. Through you, Mr. Chairman, let me be clear. No chairperson has been appointed to the CBCS Supervisory Board. Government has not issued any official statement on this matter. The narrative started with a piece claiming the Council of Ministers had made an appointment, and from there it took a life of its own. That is not how it works. The Council of Ministers cannot appoint the chair of the CBCS Supervisory Board. I'm here today to set the record straight and provide the necessary clarity. According to Article 25, third paragraph of the Central Bank Charter, the chair of the Supervisory Board has to be appointed jointly by the countries of Curacao and St. Martin by national decree, which means no Council of Ministers of either St. Martin or Curacao can solely appoint the chair of CBCS. The chair of CBCS is appointed based on a joint nomination of the Minister of Finance of St. Martin and the Minister of Finance of Curacao. Emphasis on joint, this nomination typically follows a recommendation supported by at least a 5/6 majority of the Supervisory Board. Allow me to clarify exactly what the Council of Ministers of St. Martin approved on September 16, 2025. The Council of Ministers did not appoint a chairperson to the CBCS Supervisory Board. It cannot do so. The Central Bank Charter is clear. The chair is appointed jointly by the countries of Curacao and St. Martin by national decree. What the Council of Ministers approved is the conditional nomination and the conditional appointment in principle of a candidate I put forward as Minister of Finance. I repeat the word conditional, Mr. Chair. Conditional means it only takes effect if all of the following are met. One, that the countries of St. Martin and Curacao jointly appoint the chairperson of the Supervisory Council of the Central Bank by national decree. Two, that the appointment of the chairperson takes place on the basis of a joint nomination by the Minister of Finance of Curacao and St. Martin. And three, that the results of the screening process or procedure do not raise objections to the appointment of the candidate as chairperson. Until these conditions are satisfied, there is no appointment. Let me repeat the conditions underlying the conditional appointment approved by the Council of Ministers. One, that the countries of St. Martin and Curacao jointly appoint the chairperson of the Supervisory Council of the Central Bank by national decree, that the appointment of the chairperson takes place on the basis of a joint nomination by the Minister of Finance of Curacao and St. Martin, and three, that the results of the screening process do not raise objections to the appointment of the candidate as chairperson. Regarding the recommendation of the chair of the CBCS Supervisory Board, let me elaborate briefly on the history and where we are now. By way of history, the CBCS has been without a formally appointed chair for about 4 years. In 2021, the Supervisory Board submitted 2 recommendations, one on April 30, 2021 and December 30, 2021, but no appointment followed. I took office in May 2024, 3 years after those recommendations were made. I want to make it absolutely clear that the Central Bank Charter does not specify the procedure when the Ministers of Finance do not agree with a recommendation of the Supervisory Board. That is essentially the question before us today. Can the Ministers proceed with a joint nomination, or must they first revert back to the Board? The Charter, to be clear, does not stipulate that the Ministers are required to go back to the Supervisory Board in case of disagreement with its recommendation. For the record, the 2021 recommendations remain in the file. Any next step must follow the Charter's joint nomination and screening requirements. I cannot speak to why those nominees were not appointed between 2021 and May 2024. And to be clear, it is very unfortunate that the CBCS has been without a formally appointed chair and board members for more than 4 years. This is not in accordance with good corporate governance. The Central Bank Charter has some unclear sections and is currently being updated. What is clear, however, is that the Supervisory Board has issued its recommendation on 2 occasions back in 2021. I want to make it absolutely clear, since taking office in May 2024, the CBCS has had my full attention. My major matter was the handling of the ENIA situation. In June 2024, I met with the St. Martin members of the CBCS Supervisory Board. We discussed board matters and the appointment of the chair. I asked about the status of the nomination candidate for chair and why the process has not been finalized. In December 2024, I sent an official letter to the Supervisory Board titled Follow-up Recommendations for the Chairperson of the Supervisory Board of the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin, noting that since assuming office, I repeatedly requested an update on the chair and reasons for the delay. On December 5th, 2024, the board informed me that the process regarding the previously proposed nominee for chair had officially been discontinued.
Thank you, Minister. 1 minute, please. Seeing that the time ran over and you still have, I think you're on question 3, almost finalizing it.
Question 1.
Oh, this is question 1?
Yeah.
But it's tying in to the other questions as well, which I'm seeing. I would ask the members of parliament if we can allow the honorable minister a few minutes to finalize the answering, seeing the importance of the topic at hand. Sorry? So you, MP Irion? Okay, MP Irion, the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no problem going over. Then I would like the same respect on this side. So if the minister gets to go over, then I think the MPs also have to have the opportunity to go over. So either we're going to follow the rules of order, because obviously the rules have been here since 2018, or we're going to bend the rules, but bend the rules not only for the minister, but for MPs also. So have some balance.
Can we adjourn for 5 minutes so we can caucus and then see how to get a consensus. Meeting adjourned, 5 minutes. Welcome back. We would like to provide you with some clarification. So, based on the article of the Rules of Order, the Member of Parliament will get the opportunity to read his or her question as submitted for a maximum of 2 minutes, according to Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order, which just happened. The Minister is given the opportunity to answer the questions for a maximum of 1 minute per question, according to Article 69D, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order. Based on the Rules of Order, based on the number of questions posed by MP A.M.R, the Minister had 5 minutes to answer that, and the time has elapsed. However, the Minister was still answering after asking, and then afterwards asking the MP if he would mind to offer the Minister additional time to answer the questions. The MP would like to stick to the Rules of Order, which I also agree on, and therefore we shall go over to the next part of the question of the Member of Parliament is then given the opportunity once more to ask additional questions for a maximum of 2 minutes, according to Article 69D, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Order. The Minister will then be given 1 minute to answer each question that is posed by the MP Irion, according to Article 69D, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Order. I would like to now once again give the floor to the Member of Parliament, MP Irion, for his additional 2 minutes to ask additional questions. I would like to give the floor first to... we have a point of order by MP Francisco La Cruz. I would like to give the floor to MP La Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this makes absolutely no sense because the minister only answered 1 out of the 5 questions. So that makes absolutely no sense. We're going into a second round without question 2, 3, 4, and 5 being answered. If the minister had 1 minute to answer the question, Mr. Chairman, it was your responsibility to knock the gavel and let the minister know it is 1 minute per question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. MP Irion. MP Irion, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, yes, I did hear when you stated in the beginning that you have to answer the questions within the allotted time. I think that the government should know the rules of order in terms of the answering. Mr. Chairman, first question is, on what legal basis does the minister claim that she can nominate a chairperson in the absence of a recommendation by the 5/6 of the supervisory board, despite the clear wording of Article 25? Does the minister acknowledge that the Joint Court of Justice ruled in August 2021 that even the court could not appoint a chair without a 5/6 recommendation, and this confirms the requirement is binding, not optional? Can the minister provide the legal interpretation or opinion beyond any advice that she's given that specifically overrides the requirement of the 5/6 recommendation under Article 25(3)? And can she confirm whether the Department of Legal Affairs or reviewed or endorsed this interpretation? The minister, Mr. Chairman, claims that the supervisory board recommendation is non-binding. Is the minister aware that while the recommendation may not be a binding decision, that the statute clearly states that no nomination can be made without it? So not because in absence of means that you can execute. Otherwise, there are a lot of laws that we're going to be breaking consistently. The minister mentioned that it's not an appointment, it's a nomination. Can the minister clarify how did the minister come up to the process of this nomination? On what legal basis did the minister decide we are going to nominate and have the council of ministers approve his nomination. The minister mentioned that the board members were not approved prior in the previous administration. Can the minister clarify why they weren't approved? Can the minister confirm or deny if this VDSM did not want to approve the screening of the previous board members?
Thank you, MP Irion. Your 2 minutes has elapsed. I will look at the minister. I hereby would like to adjourn for 5 minutes to give the minister some time to formulate the answers to the questions. Meeting adjourned. Welcome back. Thank you to the public, to the Honorable Minister, and to my honorable members of Parliament. I would now like to give the Honorable Minister of Finance the floor to answer the 7 questions. So the Honorable Minister, you have 7 minutes. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In reference to question 1 by the Honorable MP, as it pertains to legal basis, the legal basis is Article 25, third paragraph. Second question, in reference to the joint court, the decision from the joint court didn't say that they are appointed. It said that they are appointed temporarily. Question 3, on the requirements. The requirements are in the Article 25, third paragraph, in reference to Yazet and Way. Through you, Mr. Chair, as previously stated multiple times, there is no appointment made, nobody is appointed. For an appointment to take place, a national decree has to be signed by the governor and countersigned by the Minister of Finance. These national decrees are all standard templates and are uniformly drafted by the countries of Curaçao and St. Martin. As such, the Department of Legal Affairs is not standardly requested to provide a legal review on these appointments. However, legislations concerning central bank matters are always reviewed by the Department of Legal Affairs and Legislation. Question number 5. I am happy to hear that the MP in question said that it is non-binding. These are recommendations. This is true on the non-binding, but we have 2 recommendations already. Question number 6. Question number 6. Through you, Mr. Chair, has to do with the appointment process or the nomination process. Recognizing the importance of corporate governance and the stability of the financial sector, as Minister of Finance, I formally requested the Supervisory Board members on 2 occasions to come up with other proposed candidates. In addition, attempts were made to meet with the Minister of Finance of Curaçao to further discuss this and additional matters. Unfortunately, these efforts did not result in progress. As per Article 25, third paragraph of the Central Bank Charter, it is the authority of the Minister of Finance to nominate the chair of the Supervisory Board. Since no recommendations were forthcoming, after formally requesting this twice to the Supervisory Board of CBCS, a search was initiated, which search resulted in 9 potential candidates, of which 3 were not interested, 2 had a conflict of interest, 2 were in too many boards already, and 1 was living abroad, and the other 1 candidate had a good profile to be nominated to go through the proper channels. And the next question, in reference to recommendations, these are recommendations, these are the board recommendations. And that is the end of the 7 questions posed by MP Irion.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now, according to the rules of order, the President may allow other members of Parliament to ask questions for a maximum of 1 minute. To who can I give the floor? I see MP Duran. You have the floor for 1 minute. No, right there, right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to the Honorable Minister, what process was followed to arrive to the nominee? Who were the potential candidates? Were those candidates formally submitted by the Supervisory Board of Directors? Which firm of government entity was used to identify or evaluate the candidates? I heard the minister talk about a search. Who executed this search, Mr. Chairman? Because normally that's not the way the process is followed, according to me. And also, with respect to the legal affairs advice, my colleague MP A.M.R asked about the nominations. Did they advise on the nomination, not on the appointment? The minister went totally left with the question in terms of appointment. So to clarify, were the legal affairs department consulted based on the nomination process? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under a minute, right? Good.
Thank you, MP. Honorable Minister, if you're able to answer those questions. Thank you. Honorable Minister, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reference to the questions posed by MP Duran, question 1. Through you, Mr. Chair, to start, there was a recommendation from the Supervisory Board. However, as previously explained, this candidate did not follow up further, and we had to look for another candidate. Recognizing the importance of corporate governance and the stability of the financial sector, as Minister of Finance, I formally requested the Supervisory Board members on 2 occasions to come up with other proposed candidates. In addition, attempts were made to meet with the Minister of Finance of Curaçao to further discuss this and additional matters. Unfortunately, these efforts did not result in progress. As per Article 25, third paragraph of the Central Bank Charter, it is the authority of the Minister of Finance to nominate the chair of the Supervisory Board. Since no recommendations were forthcoming, after formally requesting this twice to the Supervisory Board of CBCS, a search was initiated, which search resulted in 9 potential candidates, on which 3 were not interested, 2 had a conflict of interest, 2 were in too many boards already, 1 was living abroad, and 1 of the candidates had a good profile to be nominated to go through the proper channels. Next question. Through you, Mr. Chair, I will not reveal names on any candidates, as the process first has to be finalized before an appointment can take place. Next question. Through you, Mr. Chair, as stated, I requested the Supervisory Board to come with a new recommendation, as their last recommended candidate did not follow up with the procedures to be appointed. Until today, no recommendations were received. As such, I initiated the route I previously explained. Next question. Through you, Mr. Chair. To start, there was a recommendation from the Supervisory Board. However, as previously explained, this candidate did not follow up further, and we had to look for another candidate. Recognizing the importance of corporate governance and the stability of the financial sector, as Minister of Finance, I formally requested the Supervisory Board members on 2 occasions to come up with other proposed candidates. In addition, attempts were made to meet with the Minister of Finance of Curaçao to further discuss this and additional matters. Unfortunately, these efforts did not result in progress. As per Article 25, third paragraph of the Central Bank Charter, it is the authority of the Minister of Finance to nominate the chair of the Supervisory Board. Since no recommendations were forthcoming, after formally requesting this twice to the Supervisory Board of CBCS, a search was initiated, which search resulted in 9 potential candidates, of which 3 were not interested, 2 had a conflict of interest, 2 were in too many boards already, 1 living abroad, and 1 of the candidates had a good profile to be nominated to go through the proper channels. And last question, through you, Mr. Chair, no, they did not, as they never do this for nominations. As previously stated multiple times, there is no appointment made. Nobody is appointed. For an appointment to to take place, a national decree has to be signed by the governor and countersigned by the Minister of Finance. These national decrees are all standard templates and are uniformly drafted by the countries of Curacao and St. Martin. As such, the Department of Legal Affairs is not standardly requested to provide a legal review on these appointments. However, legislations concerning central bank matters are always reviewed by the Department of Legal Affairs and Legislation.
Thank you, Minister. I now give the floor to the Honorable MP Lewis. MP Lewis, you have 1 minute. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister and your support staff, honorable colleagues, and those in the Tribune. Good afternoon to the people of St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, considering there seems to be a lot of concern about this central bank appointment, my question is, why is this only being done now? Why have no appointment made over the last 8 years? And how much opportunity has been potentially lost by St. Martin not holding the presidency of the bank for such a long time? That is my question, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, MP. Honorable Minister, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would like to thank MP Lewis for the question. Now that I have put forward the nomination candidate, there is a lot of noise. But the reality is that the Central Bank Board has been an issue for years. I have decided to address it, and I will continue to do so. Given the importance of this situation, it would be irresponsible not to take steps to ensure proper corporate governance and a sound board. As Minister of Finance, I cannot look the other way and then complain when problems arise at the central bank. It is my duty to act. Why previous ministers did not move this forward is not known to me. What is clear is that my action is now being questioned. It is nevertheless within my mandate to take initiative where the supervisory board and prior administrations have not, and that is exactly what I am doing. St. Martin must be properly represented on the board and within the CBCS as an institution. I have made this clear to both management and the supervisory board. We are a joint monetary union, and I expect to see that joint in nature reflected on the board and in the organization. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I see MP Labega would like the floor. MP Labega, you have 1 minute to ask your questions. MP Labega, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to all. I'll get straight to it. And what the Honorable Minister just stated, to me, addressing an issue is following the proper procedures. I don't see how the minister could just take matters in her own hands. So I have a very basic question, is yes or no, was Mr. Bloom's nomination, did it come from the supervisory board? It's yes or no. Also, at any point in time, whether last year, this year, informally, formally, did the minister have any discussions with the supervisory board pertaining to Mr. Bloom's potential candidacy? And did they give their professional advice to said name? The minister mentioned that she took it upon herself to find these nominations. Where did the nominations come from? Was it a tender? Did they send in applications? Did the minister search this on her own, or was it a collaborative effort with other individuals?
Thank you, MP. No? Oh, you still have a few seconds, so
20
you have
seconds.
one more. Sorry.
So,
go ahead, MP. Yeah, 15 seconds.
And also, That'll be it. That'll be it, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, MP. I now give the floor to the Honorable Minister. Minister, you have the floor. Minister, if you can, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first question by MP Labega, the answer is no. Second question by MP Labega. Actually, I actually remember the day in question to which a proposed name was mentioned informally to my person. And as a matter of fact, I countered with an additional name. And when I say informally, I know exactly where we were when that discussion took place. But again, that is not in accordance with the rules of order. You're supposed to send these recommendations in formally, and that did not take place. And as for the third question, through you, Mr. Chair, recognizing the importance of corporate governance and the stability of the financial sector, as Minister of Finance, I formally requested the supervisory board members on 2 occasions to come up with proposed candidates. In addition, attempts were made to meet with the Minister of Finance of Curacao to further discuss this and additional matters. Unfortunately, these efforts did not result in progress. As per Article 25, third paragraph of the Central Bank Charter, it is the authority of the Minister of Finance to nominate the chair of the Supervisory Board. Since no recommendations were forthcoming, after formally requesting this twice to the Supervisory Board of CBCS, a search was initiated, which search resulted in 9 potential candidates, of which 3 were not interested, 2 had a conflict of interest, 2 were in too many boards already, and 1 was living abroad, and 1 of the candidates had a good profile to be nominated to go through the proper channels. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I see MP Rosberg. Yeah? MP Rosberg? No, she said she got it from. No, she said. MP Rosberg, you have a minute to ask your questions. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will start right away. Honorable Minister, do you agree that given the spirit of the Charter that is intended that there should be no political interference and that there should be a hands-off approach by government when it comes to the initiator of such positions? Second question, if so, how do you explain and reconcile the thought action that in event of a lack of nomination, that government can proceed with nomination, thereby ignoring the spirit of the Charter? How did the minister initiate the so-called search, the process? How did that go? Which procedure was followed? And can we get those documents confidentially? Does the minister agree that the spirit of the Central Bank Charter is that the board must always play a central role in recommendation phase? And as I mentioned, that the political interference in this process undermines the independence of the bank. The 9 candidates that came from the search, were they brought to the board? If not, why not? When was the last contact with the supervisory board in regards to this matter? Is there a current impasse? I don't know if that's impasse. When was the last contact date with the board? Will the temporary appointments of the board members become formally appointments? That they will not be temporary anymore. And last part, can the minister confirm whether Mr. Jairo Brun was presented to the board before his name was discussed as a potential nomination/appointment, conditional appointment? If so, when was that, and what was the board's response? If not, why was the board excluded from this process, contrary to the spirit of the law? These are my questions.
Thank you, MP Roseberg. I now turn the floor back over to the Honourable Minister to answer those questions. Honourable Minister, you have the floor. Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to respond to the questions by Honorable MP Roseberg. First question, there is no political interference. Second question, I believe this is with regard to good governance and continuance of that. Third question, in reference to the search, this was professionals of the same mind feel. Next question, the answer to that is yes, as recommended. Next question, in reference to contact with the supervisory board, I am still awaiting information from the supervisory board on this matter. Next question. Yes.
One minute, Minister. I think we have a point of order. MP Roseberg, you have a point of order.
It's more pointing out if the question, if you're giving time to answer questions, I would like my questions to be answered completely. I can't skip that. That's not really productive.
Wait 1 second. The mics.
I said, Chairman, if we are giving the opportunity for questions to be answered, I would like all my questions to be answered correctly, or at least not skipped, and because now my questions are skipped and I was within the 1 minute time. So I would like to get all my questions answered.
You have a point of order, MP Irion.
Mr. Chairman, I understand this is one of the first meetings that you have, but honestly, this question always going and is a horrible mess, and it's favoring one and the other. As stated before, either we stick to the rules of order or we call it over and do it properly, because it's really a mess right now. MP Roseman made a very good point. We're given 5 minutes here, we're adjourning the time here, and we're not getting full answers. So either we're going to stick to the rules of order and do it right, because we're looking like a hot mess on social media right now, or we're going to do a public meeting.
Thank you, MP, for your input. Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, in going with the rules of order, I too have limited time to respond to the questions posed, and according to the questions that are listed here, I don't believe that any was skipped, actually. And I was down to the last two questions by MP Roseberg as it pertained to Um, the temporary appointment, in reference to have they been officially appointed, yes or no? The answer to that is no. And actually, some of them are already over the maximum allotted time. There's one who's actually at 8 years and one that is actually at 7 at this time for St. Martin.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I see we have one MP left, and seeing that we're within the time, I would allow this to be the last. Okay, I see we have MP Utley as well, so seeing the time, I'll allow for MP Utley to be the last speaker to ask questions. Thank you. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon again to the Minister, support staff, guests in the Tribune, honorable members, and the viewing public. Minister, for the sake of time, the Minister referred to an entity doing, referred to a search. I would like to know which entity did this search, who was this comprised of? The Minister referred to members, people of the same mind field. What does that mean? Who put it together? Was it a committee put together by the Supervisory Board, by the Minister? Who put these individuals of the same mind field together? The Minister also referred to 9 other candidates. Was the Council of Ministers aware of these 9 other candidates? Also, the Minister referred to the nomination not coming from the Supervisory Board because she was waiting too long for an answer, so thus she went her own way and ventured her own route. Was there urgency for this nomination? And if there was an urgency, why the urgency? And lastly, the Minister also referred to a conditional appointment following the vote of the Council of Ministers. I would like to know where in the Charter or which law refers to this conditional appointment, because I didn't see it. So thank you. That will be our chair, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. I now give the floor over to the Honorable Minister of Finance to answer those questions. Honorable Minister, you have the floor. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reference to the first question posed by MP York, in reference to the search, understanding that we, St. Martin's portion within the central bank, is in the minority. I have waited and asked on 2 separate occasions formally to the Supervisory Board to provide me with nominations for the chair. That did not happen. Since that did not happen, I believe it is in my obligation and my authority to then move forward. And in by moving forward, I stated that I had to request like-minded persons who are professionals in this field to assist with, for example, coming up with names of possible individuals. It was not, on to second question, it was not 9 others. It was a total of 9 persons that were mentioned. And no, the answer to that question, if I mentioned it to the Council of Ministers, the other 8, the answer to that is no. And in reference to urgency, there seems to be a sentiment of, this was done speedily. And unfortunately, that's the wrong concept. Understand that for the last 4 years, for sure, we have been without a chair of the supervisory board. There are key matters that is going on within the central bank that I believe that are urgent. Those key matters that I believe are urgent requires us not to be in the minority. And since this is the time that St. Martin has chair, can appoint chair, why not move the process forward? So I hear your question, MP, Mr. Chairman, through you. I hear your question on the matter of urgency, but I think it's also important to recognize that it is urgent for St. Martin, owing to the fact that it's been such a long time that we've had chair. And again, once again, there is no appointment to the supervisory board.
Thank you, Minister. I now give the floor to MP Atley. Point of order. We have MP York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just for, it has been said already during this meeting, questions are being posed and they're being, for the lack of a better term, altered and then answered. A lot of questions, it was even a question before, literally, can we expect certain documentation via a confidential route? The answer was not given. I asked specifically where in the charter refers to a conditional appointment, because yes, the minister said there was no appointment and there was a conditional appointment, and I'm asking where in the charter or in the law or wherever states about refers about to a conditional appointment. That was my question. And also the search that I referred to, I asked the minister who did the search and who commissioned the people to do the search. So if the minister said, hey, I put the people together, the committee together myself, then that is also an answer, but I did not hear that from the minister. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, MP. Although that not being a point of order, I give the floor now to MP Omar Atley. Omar Atley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll ask the same question. Can the names of this committee be provided confidentially? Also, nowhere in Article 25 it states that the minister can appoint without the nomination of the supervisory board. MP Labega asked, did the supervisory board nominate Mr. Bloom? And the minister said no. Paragraph 9. If the ministers fail to make a nomination or countries fail to appoint a member within 3 months, the president of the Joint Court of Justice, Aruba, Curacao, St. Martin, Saba, Statia will temporarily appoint a member from the nomination. This member will serve until an appointment is made. Nowhere here it says like-minded people. Nowhere. So why wasn't the procedure followed? And if the supervisory board and the ministers are at the impasse, why wasn't dialogue continued? I'm going to keep it very simple on those 3 questions so that we have no mix-up and hope that these 3 questions can be answered. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Atley. Honourable Minister, you have the floor to answer MP's 3 questions. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, MP Atley, for your questions. Question number 1, you asked for the names of the committee members to be sent through a confidential route. Unfortunately, I am not at liberty to do so. Question number 2, there is no appointment to the supervisory board, but there are recommendations as stated. And question number 3, Article 25(9), this question is based on the joint court. The president of the joint court. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you to the Honorable Minister of Finance, and thank you to the members of Parliament. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Finance, Ms. Marinka J. Gums, and her support staff for their participation here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this question hour. I thank you all for your participation and hereby close this question hour. Meeting closed.